Two. Hey guys, welcome to the Aromas Amigos podcast. Here today, we're going to talk about the cocktail revolution. I'm here with Chef Diego, and I'm here with Mr. Mixologist himself, Master G, aka Jarobis. Top G, bottom G. What's up, guys?
Joder.
What's up?
Hey, what's up?
We're always doing these podcasts in the morning. That's why everybody sounds like they're tired, hungover from their partying last night. All right, so today we're going to talk about the revolution and cocktail industry. That's your department, Mr. Jarobis.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting era behind it. Before hitting like that topic, we definitely have to go how it all first started. As to best of my knowledge, there's definitely information out there for those of you that would like to get involved in the craft and learn about the culture. There's a lot of theories, a lot of mixed origins of it. Some things have been proven to be fact, where it first started, like with the name of cocktail, what does it come from, or how did it begin? But like before we hit that topic about prohibition, I'll say like the culture itself, where we got some inspiration, it had to be from Europe, because in reality truth, that's where a lot of the crafts comes from. Mostly more with the British. The British, they used to have back in their time punches, which obviously we still have them going around. Some of them are like rum punches, which takes inspiration from British themselves. Punches are usually made with a spirit, could be any type of alcohol base. Most likely in their time it had to be, rum or not rum yet, gin with fruit juice and spices. They used to serve them like in a nice big bowl around like 1700s, I'll say, almost 1800s. Then after that, it evolves into what we call now like cocktails.
Cocktails too complicated now.
Yeah.
They used to be just a mixture of booze and some kind of, some kind of cutter.
No, yeah, they had to cut a little bit of the alcohol, because now when we move into like the 1800s, I'll say thanks to Jerry Thomas, which is like the founding father of the craft itself. He was the first to actually publish a book, which was called A Bartender's Guide into like mixed drinks. So he published this book, and it was all based out of his experience working in Europe. He's an American bartender, and he's the first to record a lot of like mainly like inspiration of like what we have as classics today. So it's thanks to him that a lot of those cocktails, survive during that time. If it wasn't for that book, we probably wouldn't even have like all these mixed cocktails.
Definitely. So tell me, so explain to them what is exactly is a speakeasy, and do you know of any currently around? I know it's like a little, not like officially hiding, but it's like they take that atmosphere. So what exactly is it? So
speakeasies definitely started popping up around the 1900s. It had to do with prohibition in this time. Prohibition, it was passed down, if I'm not mistaken, definitely the facts are out there. You just have to do your research. If I'm not mistaken, it had to be around 1920. If I'm not mistaken, that's when it was passed down.
Yeah, we'll fact check.
And during that time, actually, the craft itself was already at its peak. It was like on top of many things. And because of this being passed down in the 18th Amendment with prohibition, the cocktails were banned. A lot of bartenders, they either went away to other countries, or some they decided just to start bartending like underground. And a lot of it actually has to do with organized crime as well. So they started making what we call it today a speakeasy, like hidden bars. These hidden bars were more based in Manhattan.
Okay.
They'll take place in like in a back room, or some will be like in a basement. And if they were ever to get busted, it would just look like fine gentlemen just drinking out of a teacup. So they used to like serve these cocktails into like teacups, so it looks like they're drinking tea or they're drinking coffee.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't
Yeah.
know. Oh, that's interesting.
So there's definitely some places that still exist to this day. I know that one of them is actually called the Back Room. It's in the city. I actually visited it not that long ago. It was quite interesting. They still serve their cocktails in teacups, and they still do it by.
But it's actually legal, not illegal.
Oh no, yeah.
Yeah.
Prohibition ended in
Yeah.
December, if I'm not mistaken. It was like December 1933. It started in 1920, and then it ended in 1933. If I remember now correctly, it was actually January. In January when it first started, January 1920, and it ended in December 5th, 1933.
Nice, you know your stuff.
Yeah, it was during that time, if I'm not mistaken.
That's why we have him on this podcast, because he knows his stuff. That's a real mixologist right there that loves his craft.
Yeah, definitely passionate about the craft, and I'm always into learning because we're still learning about it. There's still a lot going on with the culture.
What is one of the cocktails that are from that era that made its way, that has not really alternated its classicness or its origins, that is still used today?
So a lot of things got lost. Like I said, it still goes back to the founding father, when it's thanks to him that we're able to reconnect with a lot of those classic cocktails. But fortunately, when Prohibition ended, it was during a time that you had like the 70s, the 80s, where everybody was starting to mix drinks with artificial like flavors and stuff like that. Like it wasn't like legit fresh flavors. So a lot of the things did get lost, but we started reconnecting one with obviously his book, and then thanks to who we call like the king of cocktails, the godfather of cocktails, Dale DeCraft. He's the one that reconnected all the cocktails back. So he started bringing in like fresh fruits. He started creating everything from scratch. He's not the creator of the Cosmo, but he's the one that pretty much like put it on the map out there because of his, passion of the craft, So I'll say like with his connection and obviously the book and everything, the old fashioned is definitely one of those cocktails that made its way back. We also have the martinis, of course, the Manhattans. If we go into like the rum category, we would say like the daiquiri and the tiki.
These haven't been alternated at all.
They haven't really like alternated. They've
Been alternated.
Yeah, they maintained their thing. The old fashioned did change a little bit because they started like adding fruits into it, like to muddle it and stuff like that. But it still kept its base, like what it is, which is spirit, bitter, and sugar.
So basically, the old fashioned is basically keeps its title old fashioned. Why would you think they could call it an old fashioned back then?
So
is this something they made now?
No.
Was it like a fashion and then they brought it back now?
No. Like the old fashioned. There's a lot of stories about it. There's a lot of theories about it. We can't really say what was the first ever created cocktail.
Okay.
But New Orleans kind of like takes a credit with the Sazerac. The Sazerac, it was with rye whiskey, absinthe, and bitters.
As being the first recorded cocktail?
As being kind of, yeah. But there's a lot of theories of it. They say that that's where the old-fashioned comes from.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that it had to be like when everybody started mixing so many different types of drinks back in those times, there had to be like a gentleman out there that came into the bar and said like, let me just get let me just get a drink, but make it an old fashioned way. So I'm assuming that's how it had to get stuck. There's a lot of theories of it.
So,
Yeah.
what is one of your what is one of the cocktails you made that originated from like yourself? Like, what is one cocktail you came up with? I don't know many that hasn't inspired from another, like a classic cocktail, like something you came up with that hasn't really took traits from a classic cocktail, like something out of your own imagination.
Out of my own imagination.
Yeah.
That doesn't take place on any
That
other.
doesn't take like any parts, like, you know, like say you made something similar to an old fashioned. Oh, I made this cocktail similar to an old fashioned, or I made this cocktail similar to margarita. What cocktail have you created that you can't say anything? It's not. This is my own creation. It's not similar to any other classic cocktail. I cannot say that it's like a Sazerac. I cannot say it's like a Negroni. I cannot say it's nothing. This is just my cocktail. It has hints of notes of walnuts and this, but it's nothing like you ever tasted before. What's something that you have that you can say, just one cocktail that you can say, this is different than, like, doesn't have no characteristics of anything you ever tasted?
That's the thing. It's for anybody to say like I created this and it has nothing based out of like a blueprint of any of those cocktails is kind of impossible to say, because we're talking about a craft that's been around for decades and decades and decades and decades and decades. So there was always a blueprint of something. You know, like I have made cocktails with wine, for instance. Like I mix it with wines and fruits and all that other stuff. But there was already an origin cocktail that came out of that. New York Sour, for instance. If I was to make something with beer, there was already an origin cocktail that came out of that. So it's kind of like hard to say, or for anybody to claim that, to say like I created this because I added some type of tea or spices or bitter. It's hard because the founding of any of those cocktails, you could trace it back to all the way to like the 1700s. So it's kind of, you can't really say it, yeah.
So like
you could create alternates, like you could mix it into something else and create it into your own craft, but it had to come from somewhere. You get me? Like the foundation was, it had to be already created somewhere else out there already. Because remember, we're talking 1700s all the way to now.
You're right. It's like food. It's almost similar to food, right? When you try to do something, you're just alternating the flavors in the recipe, but it's still like a pasta dish. It's still a bread. It's still it's still a baked chicken, but it's just the flavors are different. I get you.
No, yeah, like, but you know, like it's beautiful. Like when you do create something, of course, it's your own craft behind it. Because you did come up with something different. But
of course,
we're all, every single one of us, we're all getting somewhat of inspiration of it. Like for instance, mojito, for example, right? Mojito is made with mint, rum, sugar, and club soda, right? If you remove and lime, I'm sorry, and lime. If you remove the mint and the club soda, and you're left with the rum, sugar, and lime, that's a daiquiri, for example. You get me? Like that's like you get inspiration out of it from somewhere, you know?
Yeah, okay, understand. Chef.
Well, and every season is different. So when it comes to summer, he brings like a lot of fruits, you know. Could be from raspberries to apples to different flavors. So, and when it comes to winter, I really like those winter cocktails that he's making because he infused he does like syrups with cinnamon, cardamom, anise, cloves, and he reminds you to like you know, like the smell from that time, especially when you're cooking, like when you cook like, let's say, pumpkin, right? And I use cinnamon, cloves, and many more things. You get that flavor, you know, in the cocktails. And and it keeps reminding me. I love Halloween. I love this season. I love Dia de Muertos because it reminds me of my childhood, and having those cocktails in on the menu
Yeah.
in that time, it's really cool.
Okay.
But I can, if you ask me for one option, honestly, there is a lot of options, and I can remember one.
Okay.
I think it was the old-fashioned Oaxaca, something that you call.
Oh, the Oaxaca. That's it's a Mexican cocktail. It's made with mezcal.
So what you're trying to say is it's not something you made?
No,
or-
no. The Oaxaca old fashioned is a classic cocktail.
But it had a twist in
Okay.
there.
Yeah,
no?
mine had a twist behind it.
Okay.
But the Oaxaca is a classic cocktail. It's
Well, we
definitely
could-
made a big impact in the last few years because mezcal has always been around, but mezcal is now becoming like very, very popular,
Okay.
and it's starting to bring back a lot of the classics.
All right, walk us through. Walk us through how you making it. How you making it?
So with my Oaxaca, I still I'm a true believer in the traditional way.
Okay.
I still follow the same steps because I love to pay tribute to those that created the cocktail itself.
Okay.
So with mine, I do use the agave. I am using, of course, mezcal. As for the bitters part, I do make a little twist behind it. I like to mix it with cherry vanilla bark bitters and a chocolate bitter behind it, just to give it like a different type of taste. So my twist would be more of the bitter behind
Okay.
it.
Is this bitter that something you make?
No,
Or
no, no, no,
combine?
no. I just I combined.
You combined the two
Yeah,
bitters?
there are hundreds of different bitters out there.
Yes.
But that's just something that I combined together just to bring a different taste profile.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right, cool. So the Oaxaca, okay, Oaxaca.
Yeah, Oaxaca is definitely a true classic out there for those that love mezcal.
There is another one that you made with. I remember it had a ginger beer and like an apple cider something. I don't remember the name, but it was really good.
So I do like to play a lot with ginger beer. As for that one that you're recalling, is called Desnúdame. That was a cocktail that I made during the winter time. So Desnúdame, I made it with, it had apple cider, it had ginger beer, but I also I made it with a jam that I created myself. It was cinnamon bark with fresh apple. And as for the spirit base, I decided to go with a bottle that is called Shia, SIA, which is a Scotch whiskey. It was created by a woman. So it was definitely an amazing spirit base. I wanted to make it with that whiskey taste, and it just came out really, really good for the fall/winter.
Oh, okay. Seems like all the cocktails deserve just like a dish. Everything needs to be balanced, with good delicate flavors and techniques and all those things. Well, speaking of techniques, there's a big thing hitting that was always around, which was called which is gastronomy. We use it in culinary world where it's like it's just slow cooking, this vacuum sealing and putting flavors in it, extracting a certain certain flavors from liquids, changing liquids into solids, changing solids into liquids, changing fats into powders. It's many different ways of gastronomy does in the culinary world. In the cocktail world, is also making its way there, where you're infusing smoke and they're doing those bubbles. It's not so in depth, but what do you think about the way? Because earlier you said that majority of the time when you make a classic cocktail, you always hitting. I mean, I'm sorry. When you make your cocktail, it's always a touch of some kind of classic cocktail, right?
Yes.
All right. So now with all this new technologies coming out, where you can use molecular gastronomy to do certain cocktails, how do you feel about it?
Oh, there's a bar in the city that is actually working with all these things, and they take inspiration still from the classic cocktails. They just been evolving it more and enhancing the flavor behind it and getting more creative with the art of the craft itself. This bar is a very beautiful bar. It's in the city. It's called Time Bar. Time Bar, they getting themselves heavily involved with the craft of science, and not only just science, but with the craft of infusing it with food as well. So I haven't had the pleasure yet to actually visit this bar.
Okay.
But I've seen it, I've heard about it, and it's definitely one of those places I recommend to people to go check out. I definitely am looking in the future forward, to visit the place. But what they're doing over there has been new in the industry, and it's been very, very creative, and it's been evolving it. Yeah, it's been evolving it in many ways.
Do you think it's actually, does it do something to the cocktails that you cannot, that's like changing the game, or is it like making brand new cocktails, or is it like just like a look, like a show? Because, like, for instance, if you do like those little bubbles, they're like little flavored jelly bubbles, which we call caviar.
Yeah.
Our own caviar. You say you do like passion fruit, and you add it to a drink that you normally would use passion fruit on. You make it with passion fruit, whatever, and you add the caviar passion fruit, the passion fruit caviar that you make. Put it on the cocktail. Does it enhance it in any way, or it's just a show? Like, it's just for show? Does it do anything to the cocktail? Like, another example before you go into it. Another example, like, say the smokiness from a mezcal. Like you said, your old fashioned, right? You smoking from mezcal. What happens if I just use regular tequila and infuse it with the smoke? But it, like, mezcal has like a smoky flavor. It's a very strong smoky flavor. Like, if you drink it, you know it's mezcal, right? Now, what happens if you would infuse a cocktail, call it the same name, Owaka? That's what it's called, right?
The classic
cocktail,
Owaka,
old fashioned. Infuse it with smoke, where it's not as harsh as the original, as using mezcal, but less harsh. Is that considered the same? Would that still be considered a Oaxaca old fashioned, or like even the passion fruit drink? Does that even do anything to it? It
would still be considered, same, like, it's the same thing like what I did. Like, it's still considered a classic drink, just with your own twist to it. Like, I don't take credit for the Oaxaca. That's not my creation.
No, of course,
that's just, that's a classic drink.
Yeah.
All I did was I just added my own twist to it. And it will pretty much still be the same if you use these scientific new tools that's being developed for the craft.
But
the only thing that you're doing to it is you're enhancing the flavor.
But isn't the whole point of having that old fashioned, the Oaxaca old fashioned, the whole base of it is the mezcal?
The base of it is the mezcal, to create it.
So if you don't use the mezcal,
it wouldn't be considered an Oaxaca if you don't use the mezcal. It will be an old fashioned if you're using any other type of base.
But it would just be an old fashioned.
Yeah, it would be an old fashioned. For instance, when if you make a rum old fashioned, that's considered to be a Cuban old fashioned.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Even though like, yes, rum, it's out there for any other Caribbean country, but Cubans old fashioned were like the ones that put it out there,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it would be considered like a Cuban old fashioned in that case.
So what about when it comes to the caviar? Like you made a drink called was it The boozy watermelon. The boozy watermelon was it
boozy
the one with the
watermelon, yeah.
little
Yeah, well,
bow behind
it had watermelon.
All right. So so say that was that for flavor enhancement or was that for just looks?
It will be for both. It will be for garnishing.
Okay.
And also for flavor enhancement. So, like I said earlier, like if those that mix the craft with a scientific tool is always to enhance more of the flavor and also, to bring out those certain hidden tastes that you normally couldn't like taste when you're creating the craft itself. So some technology tools that they will use is to bring out a little bit more of the taste.
Is it worth it? Like I understand going to like what you said, dime. That you going in there for that that gastronomy.
Yeah, you're going
experience,
for that
correct?
experience.
And you know that the price tag on that would be that's the like, day of experience.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, like, would that make sense to do it in like a bar like that you just like at like an everyday bar like a Cheers, when you come by the neighborhood bar or like
for something like that, like for instance for Time Bar, the way, as best of my knowledge, the way that I haven't been to the place yet, but from what I've seen from people's vlogs and stuff like that when they visit the place, it's through like reservations because it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to create those beautiful cocktails that they're creating over there. And like I said, they're evolving the culture itself. There's a lot of bars out there that they are doing what they're doing, but not to like their level. Their level is just like amazing, and it takes time. It takes a lot of time. So for a local bar, you could definitely use some of the tools if you're into that department.
Like, what would you do? Would you put it in your family has many.
Yeah, like
would you put something like that?
I like the thing is like with me, like I'm old school. Like I pay tribute to all those that put the work in. You know, and like I'm a person that I love putting the work in. Even though like there's easy routes of doing it. Like I was taught by my father, like never take the easy route, take the hard way. Because if you take the hard way, you're developing more of yourself and you're learning behind it. You get to understand why was it created like this by this person, so I'll play around with the technology here and there, but I will always go back to the old school way. Like I just feel more comfortable old school way.
All right. Well, some of the gastronomy stuff that are for cocktails, from what I know, there's the caviar, there's the dry ice. Like they say, like for instance, like
there's a lot of crazy stuff out there.
But dry, like for instance, like these things are for show. To me personally, like the dry ice, it's just for show. You can't eat it. You know what I mean? It's just for show. Doing the smoke on the table is all for show. So my thing is like you're saying that the cocktails are making a comeback, but I feel like just as food, everybody is like looking for they're looking for just Instagrammable. They're not looking for actually going and enjoying anything anymore. Like it's not anymore, I should say. Like it's dying out. Like food too. When we create dishes, not like before it was like, all right, let's plate it. There's like there's a couple classic ways to plate it, and then you make the food and we concentrate on the flavors and everything. And that's our top game, right? Now when we go and we plate it, now it's like, hey chef, how do you think? What can we do? Can we sprinkle some color on this? Can we, before back in the day it was like you do a pasta or something, you do some fried basil, chopped basil, fresh parsley, some cilantro, some sprigs of thyme, just to give it that look, but not to go crazy. Now it's like, all right, let's not put the sauce in the pasta. Let's put it on the side. Let's drop it on top. Let's put it in a cup, pour it on the table, like things like that. It's becoming a show. So when it comes to cocktails now, you have a few things that are coming out. There's that not having coming out. I'm just saying a few things that are easy accessible. So I personally say, is it for a restaurant to thrive? Would you have to follow the trend, or do you think that if a restaurant holds its guns and sticks to, all right, this is the cocktails. We're keeping it in these types of glasses. They don't change. There's no adaptation. There's no evolution. I'm sticking to these cocktails. Like you have a very good craft, and you want to stick. These are my guns. I'm sticking to my ammo, and I don't want to change it. Do you think that restaurant will fail, or do you think it would thrive? Do you think it will fall because it's not adapting to this new social media crap? And at the same time, I was throwing 20 questions at you, but I just really want to know your opinion on this, because when it comes to moving forward with all the choices that need to be made to thrive, you said you like classic. So what's your opinion on, like, from one meaning, would a restaurant thrive if they don't adapt to, or what do you think about, if you, for your own will, would you stick to your guns or would you adapt?
So I believe in, like, yeah, like, you know, like, change is always good, of course. But I believe if you started a business, right? This is what I was taught, and I strongly believe in this as well. When you start a business, you got to know first what is going to be the identity of this business. You got to know what is the idea behind this and why is it that you're doing it. And if you have those three things, you got to be committed to it. You know, got to be committed to it. Got to focus on what it is, what it is now, not on what's tomorrow, what was before. No, like what it is at the moment, what it is now. You know, so it's cool, like, to bring some of those things into your business. However, that doesn't mean that you have to follow the trend. You get me? Some businesses, they stand out just by being, you know, themselves, by sticking to what they have. For instance, that speakeasy bar that we spoke of earlier, is called the Back Room. Okay. The Back Room, they haven't changed their concept. Their concept have been prohibition time. They're only serving the, you know, classic cocktails. They're sticking to the teacup. That's it. They use as garnish wise, from what I've seen and from what have they been doing this whole time. I've seen, like, some of them, if it's like something with mint, they'll add, like, just a drop of mint of it, or if not, like a lemon or a lime. But it just looks like a regular teacup, and that's their concept, that's their idea, that's their identity, and they stood with it. They're not using no technology tools behind it. They're not using none of that stuff.
Do you think it would die out?
Nah.
You
of course not. No, because they're committed to it. Like, when you get committed into something, you keep working on that something, it's just, it keeps, you know, it keeps pushing there, and everybody is always gonna want to go back to what it was. Like, what if, you know, like what it was. You get me? With this whole thing with social media that is like all trending and everything, everybody's taking videos, influencers doing this, doing that, and nothing against the influencers. They do an amazing job in what they're doing. But everybody still wants to go out there and experience what it was, not being involved with this whole technology thing. You get me? Like, just being what is normal. Do you
feel that is like all right, two things. One part is, do you feel like that's a specific age group, and that generation is starting to move away from it? Because, like, for instance, our generation, which is more likely in the same generation, you know, eventually we'll, you know, have kids, slowly stop drinking, slowly start doing other things, slowly, you know, dying out. And the generation that's up and comers, they call it the baby boomers. They're called. They're not really into, like, they'll go in, take a picture of a cocktail, they won't even drink it. They'll get a food, they'll just take a picture because the way it looks, they won't even eat it. You know, it's like they are all about their look, their presentation, their weight gains. Like, that new generation is out for just to boast themselves in a like an act, like a, I don't know how to say, like, let's say, I don't want to say we're being too negative. You guys can see my real personality. Like a show, like they're putting up a front. There you go. That's what the word I'm looking for.
Well,
because they're not really. I'm sorry, they're not really. You know, they doing all these things. They'll go into this restaurant, go into that restaurant. They'll use videos. They'll Photoshop this. They'll filter that. They'll do this, do that, do this, and it's not the originality. do you think that eventually 10 years from now, 20 years from now, that space you're talking about will die out?
No.
No?
And I'll explain to you why.
Yeah.
I'm not from that era myself.
Okay.
You know, I'm born in the 90s, right?
Of course.
There will always be, and this, I don't know what it is, but there will always be this where we have a fascination of knowing how was it like back then. You get me?
Mm-hmm.
That was that was in the 1920s, 30s, 40s era type of thing. You get me? Where it was like hidden. You get what I'm trying to say? So we're in the 20s. You know, we're 2023 right now, and people are still visiting those type of places. You get me?
Yeah.
People are always gonna wanna go back and see how was life during that time.
Oh,
you know,
of
same
course.
thing like with museums. Like there are museums out there that
A history.
yeah, like history. People always want to go see what it was back then. You got me? And people that will be like let's say from now all the way to I don't know, like 2060s, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like few years in the future, whatever. People and like the technology is gonna evolve, the food is gonna evolve, the drinks is gonna evolve, everything around you is gonna evolve. And I promise you, there will always be people that are gonna want to go back
Yeah, of course.
and see what it was like being like that.
But do you think it's sustainable? So say a bunch of, let's say 50 bars are doing this classic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You think this could survive all the, you know, maybe not all of them, maybe 20 bars.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that they will survive this generation? Because, you know, it's like, it's not everyone that wants to go check out this stuff.
No, yeah.
Yeah, it's a certain amount of people. Like, you don't see lines outside of, you know, the National, the History Museum. You know, it's just certain people that like what you're saying. Yeah, there is a group of people. There is a percentage of the population of New York within the youth, maybe like 20, like maybe not even 20, like 3% to 10%. You know, even kids in school, they don't even go on trips like they used to go. You know, back when I was in middle school and high school, every month, we would go to like 2 field trips. Now they're barely leaving the school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like the development of liking the old culture and stuff is not knowing, because as you grow, they don't see like, hey, oh, there is a history. Oh, there is this, that. They're just looking on the internet, seeing it, and at this point it's like, all right, I saw it, why should I waste money to go and do things? You know what I mean?
I feel like it's about the experience. Like, you know, like you could see something on YouTube or you could see something on any platform.
Mm-hmm.
But us being, you know, humans, we always want to feel what it is. So you will always have that group. I feel like it will never die out. There will always be that feeling of those groups that they want to experience it itself, even though they read about it, they've seen it in videos, but just being there, being at that particular moment, just gives you a feeling that you really can like describe it to people.
Experience.
Yeah, like
I would
that experience.
separate this in 2 sections. One that it's like a show, right?
Mhm.
That you go to see actually what it's about, and you know, taste it, see it by yourself. And the other one is that you going for the, you know, you went already, but then you already know where you're gonna
Expect.
like there is places that you go for one time, right? And the other ones that you keep going. That's what you mean, right?
Yeah, like a museum, and then like
Let's
you
say
won't go every day.
Yeah,
to a
you go
museum,
to a
yeah.
museum, right? You go to see history and things
Correct.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you go once, right?
Yeah.
And it's, you know, you go to I know Harry Potter
Yeah. You go one
show, you
yeah,
go
you
once, and then, you know, and you know it's cool because it's gonna be there for people that hasn't been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Like
you're always gonna go back to
like
place
I'll
that
put it to
you.
you like this, like to put it into like kind of an understanding, like you said, you know, Broadway shows
Yeah.
have been around all. I'm not talking about but
Yeah, yeah.
stage shows have
Correct.
been around all the way into ancient Greece.
Of course.
You get me? And to this day, even though we have Netflix, all these platforms where we could watch movies, series, all those cool things that we could watch now. We could watch it from our phones. We could watch it from our iPads, from the house. People to this very day, they go watch shows live on Broadway. You get me?
No, of
and
course.
it's been and it's been around for decades and decades and decades. So that's what I'm saying. They will never die. There will always be that group. That group. It sounds like it's just like a little group. No, it's a huge group.
But what I'm
You
saying
know?
is what I think he's saying also. It's like, all right, you talk about the Broadway shows, but you're not gonna go see Harry Potter more than once.
No, but
You know what I'm saying? So like I'm saying,
concept-
when it comes to the cocktails, what I'm trying to explain is like that, like the spot you're talking about, Dime, is an experience.
Yes.
So you're gonna go there, experience it, and you're not gonna go back there until maybe you won't go back. Maybe you'll go back one other time to bring another person to see it, something like that. But like the show, like the Broadway show. So he's trying to say it's like a show.
Unless they keep like changing.
Yeah,
stuff,
but if it was sustainable, what I'm saying is a restaurant, a mom and pop shop, whatever restaurant, would you think if they don't adapt, would they could get consistent customers because they're not adapting? There's no. I'm not talking about like you said. Time has the gastronomy. They have a show. It's a purpose to go there, right? If you take all of that away, what's the purpose to go there? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, if you take all that away
and just leave the cocktails in glasses.
Yeah, if you take all that away and you keep the glass and the cocktails in glasses, I feel that people will still go because it's about, like I said earlier, the commitment.
Okay.
You created a business with an idea. You stood by that idea. You build that commitment, and if you are the person that built it, and you are still there, and you working your butt off and showing that commitment to people, people fall in love with that. People fall in love with commitment of a worker or commitment of an owner, commitment of a manager, and that gets passed down. Like people will start talking about that. Dude, I went to this really cool bar. Go check it out. The bartender's cool. Or look, I tried this food. The food was amazing. It's the plate is simple. It doesn't look anything crazy, but the chef, the staff, the environment itself was very cool. Go check it out. It becomes like that. Like people would keep supporting, especially if you become somebody that stick by the community, help the community, gets involved with community. That also helps you out too. If it's a pop and mom shop, the locals will always support.
Brick and mortar.
The locals will always support if you show as well support and genuinely love and commitment to your craft. You get me? So if you show that, people will always come to you, man. And even the next generation will come to you because those people that are coming to you have either a friend or a family member that's information is getting passed down.
Oh, of course. I mean,
and the only reason why I think like that and I say that is because I've seen it. I've seen it through experience through my childhood. Me seeing not just my family's restaurant, but family friends that we go to their restaurants, and there are restaurants that you think that should have died out. Like one of those restaurants is in the East Village. I mean, I'm sorry, in Little Italy. That's where my dad grew up, in Little Italy, and it's surrounded by all the these Asians like spa, which is amazing. Like all these cool different Thai food, Japanese food, and then you have this one Dominican spot that is right there, and it's surrounded by all these different restaurants that are doing really cool stuff, and he hasn't changed anything. It's been passed down to his kids, and they haven't changed anything.
Course,
and it's super busy. You go in there, you're like, oh shit, and their plates, and they're not doing nothing fancy. Their plates, mind you, you're in the city and you're having a plate over there for lunch just for $10, which is a big huge plate. Like if it's an Italian plate, you get me? So like I said, it's commitment. It's all about commitment. It's sticking by your idea on why it was that you started it, and passing that idea to the next person so they could continue it. You know.
All right, I get it. I understand what you're saying. We all, to each our own with our opinions, but technology is growing, and man is here to create convenience, right? You know that, right? Like,
and one more thing, perfect example too. That bar I took you to, there was a bar I took you to. They have not changed anything. As a matter of fact,
talking about the Abraham Lincoln one.
Yes.
Okay.
So that bar right there.
Explain the bar first, because everybody's getting like, what are they talking about?
So there's a bar. It's in the city where they stick by the old ways. In the old ways, you had only two types of beers, light and dark. So these two type of beers that are light and dark, that's all they serve to this very day. There's no music in there. Is the bar itself is standing. They're keeping it like how it was in the good old days. And we're in 2023. This is a bar that they say, I don't want to say if it's true or not, but like they say that Abraham Lincoln, after he gave a speech, he went to that bar himself to drink. So imagine that's how old the bar is.
Oh yeah, they still have the chair.
They have the chair, like from what the manager claims for it to be.
He signed it, I think.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. But it's a beautiful place, man. And you go there and you have that experience. If you feel like it takes you back. So imagine you're in the city, 2023. At that particular spot where it's at, a few blocks down, you have two of the top bars in the world. You have PDT, which is Please Don't Tell, and you also have Deaf and Co, which is Deaf and Company. And they're there, and they have involved the game itself.
Which one did we go to? The same one?
We went to PDT.
That's
no, I'm sorry, not PDT. I'm sorry. We went to Deaf and Company. That's the one we went to. We went to Deaf and Company.
Luckily we got in, right?
Yeah, because it was we got into Deaf and Company. Amazing work amazing work that the team is doing there. Big shout out to them. But my point is that you still have that Irish pub right there, which is just two beers. I don't remember the price. I think it was like $8 for two beers or $7 for two beers. I don't remember.
I think it was $6.
I don't remember exactly, but they only serve two kinds of beers.
Correct. And then was it 12-ounce?
Yeah.
Mugs. Plastic mugs, and
I don't remember exactly the ounces.
Yeah, and sawdust on the floor, old chairs and tables. Like, they haven't changed anything.
They haven't changed nothing. So that's what I mean by like
maybe the plumbing.
That's what I mean by sticking by
the plumbing.
Sticking by the idea of why you started off, and having that commitment and showing that work, and people fall in love with that. And that family, they're still getting support of that place.
Yeah.
There's rumors that, well, there's not really rumors. This did happen. The owner's son, before the owner passed away, he actually passed down the restaurant to one of his sons, and he decided to change it up. He decided to put music and everything. When the father saw that, he came back, took over, and was like, no.
Yes.
And it just goes to show that you have that commitment. Your bar will always will stick to it.
Oh, all right. I guess that goes.
I can never pronounce the name. I just want to put the name out there. I can't pronounce it. How you say the name again?
McSorley's. Old American.
No, McSorley's Old Ale House.
Oh, McSorley's Old Ale House.
Yeah, that's the beer spot we're talking about. If you guys haven't checked them out.
Where is it at?
It's on 15 East 7th Street. Yeah, by the East Village, getting close to it.
Hey guys, go check it out. It's pretty cool. It's a nice experience.
Yeah.
I don't drink beer, but I went there with him, and he took me there. It was really nice. I really like. I mean, I enjoy history, so it was pretty cool. So in that topic, I get what you're saying. I guess it will work on in certain areas and certain vibes and certain niches, and I guess it works. I guess I can see your point now.
Yeah.
But okay, so let's jump into the one topic that is the newest to this age is integration using technology, such as, well, the big thing right now is AI. AI and technology is increasing very speed that people can't even fathom. They're already creating robotics that can commercialize itself to create cocktails. Robotics that can create dishes. Obviously, it won't be the same as a human being. I don't ever think that interaction would ever a robot can never. I mean, we all seen the Matrix. The robots are never emotional towards humans. But again, when it comes down to like jobs and upgrading technology, AI is pretty much eliminating a lot of tasks, and is entering the world of bartending, which I believe entered the world so far in. I believe they're making a place in Williamsburg. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. That's a coffee shop that they have a robotic barista. That you put the order in. They haven't opened it yet. I believe it's a concept, or they're going to open it. I'm not too sure, but again, you go in, you put your order in, you go into the area where the robots are, and they create your cocktail. Hands on. They have hands. They have moving parts. They look like humans. I mean, they don't look like humans completely, but they have the appendix as humans. So they have their hands, head, arms to move cups back and forth, glasses, whatever they actually putting there. So what do you think about that in a bar scene? No, I know you got to program. When a robot's there, you got to program the cocktail, and they got to pick it, right? And it will never change. Obviously, like, you need this ounce, this ounce, this ounce is gonna be precise. But in an owner perspective, there's no waste. There's barely, with like maybe less than 1% waste.
Consistency.
Because consistency all the time, then doesn't change. So you kind of like, and think of it in two ways: as a bartender and as an owner. How do you feel about that?
I guess like for owners out there, they probably will get out, of course, for like money base, like them saving up money on costs and all that other stuff. I feel like it would be a hit for any like restaurants or bar when it first comes out. Like, everybody's gonna go. It's gonna be like a crazy at the moment. Like, everybody's gonna want to like experience that. They're gonna want to see it. But honestly, the truth, like I feel like maybe like a year or two, it will probably like start to die out a little bit. That's my opinion. The reason why is because people gonna want to interact with people. You get me? And yes, there will be people at the bar. Yes, there will be people at the restaurant. But people most of the time always goes for a bartender that is there to conversate with the bartender. Mm-hmm. And if they build that type of relationship with the bartender, it's like, oh, that's my guy, or that's my girl that I'm going to. No, I want that person to make me that drink. And it's not because the person may make it better or may make it different. It's just they have that level of trust and comfort for that person. It's the same thing when you go to Starbucks, you see the barista making it, and you will see, like, if your favorite barista was there, and you'll go to it. You'll be like, oh, yeah, that's my girl right there. Hold on, I want her to make it. You get me?
Of course.
So, like, it would be definitely a huge impact to the culture.
Yeah.
But I feel like 2 years, 3 years, probably, yes, time has passed. Yes, it has changed a lot of things. I feel like it will die out, though, because people's going to want to connect. And yes, AI is definitely something that is going to evolve everything.
Uh-huh.
But maybe when it comes down to the creativity, like creating something brand new,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a person is only able to do that. That's just my opinion of it. You know.
Oh, of course.
I think it's gonna work in two different ways. For restaurants that requires a lot of employees to make drinks. I'm talking about like kind of fast food,
like
Yeah, like
TJF,
fast food.
Applebee's.
Applebee's,
Well,
things like that. You know.
I can see
It
it
will
in
work
those
there.
places. Yes, of
Yeah,
course.
it's gonna work there, but like the same thing that you said, people wanna interact with other people, right? And
Yeah.
and that's the connection between the customer and the bartender, or it could be a barista.
Yeah. Like.
So people is gonna be around, they're looking for it,
Yeah.
but in the business perspective, the AI, how you call it?
AI.
The AI is and all these robotics things, you know. It will work. It will work a lot. It's gonna help a lot.
It's
business.
gonna help a lot.
Because
Yeah.
you know it's already
And it's not gonna be only robots. It's how you call it?
robots.
Robots. It's not gonna be robots everywhere, but it's gonna be like two of them making the drinks or making something.
But think about it like this. Okay, let's see what it'll cut down, right? Let's go to the bar, right? First, it'll cut down your inventory, right? It'll do your inventory. So say you have a staff of 5 in your bar. You do your inventory, bam, that's done. You don't need extra people to do that, right? Because they're doing the work. Only thing they really can't do is clean, unless iRobot vacuums to pick up the pace and they get cleaning bots. But as you think about it, I understand where you're coming from, where it's a slower revolution, where it comes from, you know, it went from the flip phone to this, to that, to this, to iPad, right? But now, since the AI entered the scene, it's been a faster revolution. It's been increasing. Everything that you got now has AI on it, from your keyboard to every language. It's using like you could type in English, Spanish in one sentence, mix it up, do Spanglish, and it'll pick it up and it'll give you an answer back in Spanglish. That's you put an equation, you put a physics equation, it'll give you the answer.
No, yeah,
you
we
put a
use
you know.
that part.
So
It's
when
gonna
it comes
be
down
here
to
soon.
it, yeah, it's here already. It's not gonna be here soon.
No,
It's here.
like in
It's
popular.
here. The thing is that it is here already. There's a place I believe in. Don't quote me again. It's either I seen it in a couple of days ago on a short. They have a spot in, I believe, Netherlands or Sweden, something like that. It's a like a little town. They have an actual medical facility where they have medical. When you walk into this medical facility or this tech company, it's a small tech company. It's a regular building. It's like a house. You walk into it. There's no humans. There's nothing. There's the creator. He's the owner, and maybe secretary, maybe 3 people. But when you enter, there's no receptionist. There's a bot. Speaks to you very cleanly. Hey, you'll be like, hi, my name is Chef Diablo. Oh, hi, Chef Diablo. How are you? Yeah, it looks like you had a meeting at 4:30. You're here a little early. Like that's exactly what it says. I'm like, okay, have a seat, and I'll let you know when you're ready. Oh, bing. Yeah, Chef Diablo. Hey, the doctor finished a little early. You may go through the doors. Boom, the doors open. It controls the doors. It opens the doors. Shows you the path. It goes to the path. You sit down. Now it took over the medical field. The majority of it'll take over easily. The majority of the time, it's just scanning. Finding, say you gotta get some kind of surgery, it'll scan you. They have that already to see through your body, scan you, plan it, map you out, and then it will make a precise cut. Instead of doing cut, move this over, whatever, it makes a precision cut. So just imagine how that precision is being taken over by AI. That's easy, right? So when it comes out to the restaurant world, precision is there. Now, you're eliminating, you take the AI and you make new recipes. Like you said, you can't make a new cocktail. You can, humans can't, right? But AI could come up with ingredients to all the way down to its molecular breakdown, right? It could take a grape and say, hey, I'm going to take this grape and we're going to make another alcohol that hasn't been made before. You know what I mean? Like, they got vodka, they got this, so we're going to make another one, you know? And it's like that. So it's like, all right, now if you could create these type of stuff, and then you go to a bar and you be like, hey, well, I want something, you know what? I don't know what I'm feeling like today, but you know what? I had a bad day. I need a headache. My boss is up my ass. And I need something, and I want something a little sweet. Boom, stores your profile, Mr. Jerobis. This is your profile. Today he came in on Monday. Boom. So then, as you go to that bar, it starts adapting to you. Now it'll know. Oh, how's your wife? How's your kids? Because now your profile is set. Or it'll be like, oh, what's your name? Oh, my name is Jerobis. Boom, your Instagram pops up, your Facebook pops up. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, how's your dad doing? You know, the conversation starts. So how you know? Like, it knows you already. Oh, he's a silent guy. He doesn't want to talk. He just wants to study, blah, blah, blah. Sees all your pictures of you studying, writing. All right, let me leave him alone. Let me not conversate with him. You see what I'm getting at? I get what you're talking about. Now, he knows everything. There you go. Oh, he likes to cook. He likes to do this. He likes to watch games. He likes to draw. Hey, hey, Diego, I saw this drawing. What do you think about it? Here, do you think you can mock something up just to spike conversation? Now he knows everything about him. His kids, his wife, and you know how she's doing. So this whole thing, when he meets a regular bartender, the bartender doesn't know as much or might forget, you know. And like you said, interaction of two customers work, right? Like if somebody, hey, Mr. Jerobis, what's up? How you doing? How's the family? But if a robot AI will always remember you and everything about you to the T, will never forget. You get me? A human will forget. If he gets 100 people a day, they're not gonna remember you. So you know what I mean? So that saying, we have been, all of us been drowned with adaptation. We went from the cassette to the CD to the Discman we got everything. Now these kids are growing up. Generation right behind us, they didn't have none of that. They have right into the iPhone, right into the computer, so they're programmed to deal with games that have AI, deal with all of this. It might not be to the point where you can have a conversation with it, but at this point, it's like they're soaked in that. They don't know about history. They don't give a shit about history.
Yeah, we don't see that in our generation. That's what you're talking about.
So we are seeing adaptation.
But if from years, 50 years now from today, there is going to be everything
50
like
years
that.
from today, we're still going to be alive. It's only 80, 90
but
years
we're going to
old.
see it. We're going
to see it, yeah, of course.
and it's going to be there.
So, technology obviously is going to keep growing, of course. But it goes back to what I said earlier. We're always going to have that curiosity of how was it back then? And the reason why we would have that curiosity is just the color of life. You get me? Like, you will have this AI thing coming at you with knowing, like you said, if there's a technology like that exists, that it will read your personality and everything, there's no color of life anymore in that perspective. You get me? Everything would just be gray, because you want to have that interaction, that experience with somebody that doesn't know you, or somebody that forgets but then remembers. It just makes the life itself colorful all over again. You get me?
Yeah.
So like, the technology, of course, is going to keep evolving. Businesses, of course, are going to change. However, if I was to be around during that time, I would take that opportunity and create my business. If I was to be around, create my business into an old-fashioned way still, because everybody's going to be so tuned into this whole technology stuff that there will be that group that going to want to go back to the old-fashioned way. They're going to want to interact with somebody that is flesh. You got me? And they're gonna want to go back, bro. They're always gonna want to go back. People always want to go back to what is history. People always want to see. It doesn't matter if you're so soaked into this whole technology thing. There will always be those group that will always go back, bro, just to experience what it was like. People get tired of of not having somebody that you could really interact with. You know, like not somebody that is able to read you right away. Like, oh, this person's allergic to this, to that, to blah blah blah, all these things, right? That it just scans you. It's almost like, what am I going to talk to you about if you already know everything about me? You get what I'm saying?
But it's more of what do you? So when you go to a bar, you meet a bartender.
Mm-hmm.
When you go speak to the bartender or the waiter or waitress, yeah, it is not. I understand where you're coming from. That human interaction, but human interaction, it's just knowing. As a restaurant, you go in a couple, but it's like say you're a bartender, you know when to jump in and jump out.
Correct. Yeah.
You won't stand there.
You read the room.
Yeah, you read it. You won't stand there and have conversations. But remember, it. So if I go out with Diego and we just chilling and we just talking, your guess on our personalities is just a guess. You know what I mean? You can't hone in on it, right? You can't say, oh, Diego's an ass, or Diego's the happiest guy, or Diego's funny. You don't know.
Yeah.
You know, you could be like, oh, he looks like an asshole, but maybe he's not. You know, things like that. You get what I mean? So with an AI robotics, to me, obviously we're going back and forth because the point is I stand by robotics. You are like, you like it, but you don't want it to be you don't want it to become a part of yourself.
No, it's definitely going to be out there. You get me? Like, it's going to be out there. What I'm trying to say is that technology, you can't stop it. It's gonna evolve. But what I'm trying to say is that there's always going to be the old ways. Always is always going to be there, man. You can't.
I get what
like
you're
the
saying.
decades, like, you know, we're talking about decades and decades of history, and history is always there. History always repeats itself, no matter what you do.
You're right. And histories do repeat themselves, but at the same time, history is also dying out. So the only
that's the thing. History is what defines us as humans, and we will always want that part of our life.
I get what you're saying, but history is history. History is what we evolved from. There's no need to go. In my opinion, there is stuff that is important and things that did purpose, but history is what we evolved from. We choose to celebrate history. It's not a necessity to celebrate history. You get me? There's no need for you to know history. You go on your daily life thinking about history. There's no purpose of it. You evolved from it. Slavery, we evolved from it. Presidents, we evolved from declarations, we evolved from it. Things we changed to this current day.
Yeah.
Holidays, we evolved from it. So there's no here. You say history, but it is what it is. History is history. It's the word. It's past. It's done. We evolved from it. So now, currently, your situation now is say you, for instance, you made bad decisions. You made bad decisions in and when you were growing up at like 17, you had to you ran up your credit card. You messed up your credit score. Now you won't do it. Right? It's history though. That you learned your lesson from it and you adapted from it. So same thing with us. Humans, history is history. We celebrate it because we were trained to do that. We grew up from our generations prior to us, before us. Everything was family. Everything was great grandparents. What they've done, what they've did. Now at this age coming up, you say it about it'll always be there, but this age coming up, it's that trumping. They don't give a crap about going back. They don't care about what Abraham Lincoln did. They don't give a crap about it. You know what I mean? They'll demolish a whole island to create a new Apple store if they wanted to. They'll do that because they don't care. You don't hear anything about people trying to save the forest anymore as much. They care about the future. They care about the flying cars that's coming out. They care about the new Tesla that's coming out.
Our generation.
I get what you guys are saying, but what I'm saying is that there will always be a group. No matter what happens, there will always be.
But that group is strong enough. Group is strong enough? That's what I'm trying to say. Is that group is strong enough to sustain a pub that's open, paying rent, paying bills? You get what I mean? Like there's right now there's restaurants closing next year. I believe it's called Normas. It's a Michelin star restaurant. It's one of the expensive restaurants in New York City, I believe. I read this article. Don't quote me on it, because I might have been scrambled because I read a lot of things. They're gonna close down next year, and it's a trend of expensive restaurants, Michelin star restaurants, closing down, because again, it's an experience. It's not enough. It's not in order to sustain a restaurant, a bar, or something like that. You need to have per person coming in 3-4 times a week, 2-3 times a day. I mean, I'm sorry, 2-3 times a week at least. Like the franchises, like an Applebee's and stuff. You got to offer the ones that are spending the money are the ones that are in the middle, lower to middle class. The high end classes, they like to go out, but they're only gonna go out to that one spot for a meeting, for this, for that. They're not gonna go every day to like a expensive spot. You get me? So those groups, every group is starting to die out. So like the wanting of sustaining that environment and that culture, the history, I feel like if they made a cocktail museum, that'll sustain itself, because there'll be people going in there looking what was created, what was not. But for them to go and sit there and experience it, it would be like, all right, like you said, the Broadway shows, you'll go there one time, you know what I mean? Experience it, write it off. We're not going to field trips anymore, barely, because you're not taking kids out anywhere. So they're not understanding that you know what? Oh, history is important. The only reason they're taking history now is to pass the test. That's all, so they can go to the next level. They're not going to use it anymore.
Like I said, history defines us.
Yeah. History.
It will always be around. We will always celebrate history, no matter what. We celebrate Christmas. We celebrate Thanksgiving. We celebrate Halloween. We celebrate our own birthdays. But that's all part of like the history of evolving.
Not to cut you off, you say celebrate Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
The culture of Thanksgiving now, staying home with your family, it's a minority thing. Majority of the time, not majority. From working in the kitchen or working in the chef, Thanksgiving is busy. People are going out. People are actually going out to eat. They don't want to cook. They don't want to spend time. They just want to go out to eat. They're not taking that time anymore. Like history is, you cook, you make the turkey, you put the turkey on the table. That's dying out. Or they're replacing the turkey with a vegetarian. All of these things are changing. They don't care. It's adapting to the current events. So 20 years ago, you're never gonna be like, oh, there's a tofu turkey. You know what I mean? Now you see there's a turkey made of tofu that's vegan, or impossible meat, or whatever it is. It's the whole history of that history of it is slowly dying out. People are making Valentine's Day. They're making anti-Valentine's Day, anti-Christmas. These things that why should we buy gifts for other people? Like they're making this fight. Now, if you see that people making a fight, the generation is slowly. They're changing to that. They're adapting to that. People be like, I don't want Android. I don't want Apple. But eventually, we go from Google. They go from Android, give up Android, and they go into the Apple atmosphere. I don't want an energy car. I don't want an electric car. And then all of a sudden, they got a Tesla. You know what I mean? Like, there's eventually, you got to give in. And when you give in, if it might not happen right away, but eventually, everybody's going to have an electric car. And then all the gas price is gonna die out.
Time is changing.
Time is changing.
History is gonna be there. The future is what is
we're all going for the future.
And technology is what is taking over.
Yeah, technology. We all know. Technology is evolving.
And we just gotta take it the way it is.
Yeah, it's evolving. But like I said, it will always be there, no matter what, man. It doesn't matter how much times change, how much people change. The group will always exist. The history will always be there. You just can't stop history. History is always going to be celebrated in one way or another. It will change. It will evolve into something else.
Yeah, of course.
But nobody will never forget what was the foundation of that, because it's always going to be taught. It's going to be taught in school. It's going to be taught by family. It's going to be taught by friends. It's going to be taught by anybody that you interact with. It's almost impossible for you. We will forget certain things, of course. We will forget certain things, but it's almost impossible to erase it completely.
No, of course you can't erase the
You won't
past.
erase
I mean,
it.
yeah, you can't erase the past.
But-
the only way to erase it is by forgetting it.
And like the business culture with the technology, of course, it's going to change. Of course, it's going to make an impact. It would definitely make a huge impact for those high-end businesses like that is out there, or those franchises, of course,
Oh, of
because they're going to
course.
be using that technology. But the truth is this: who are the ones that's going to be consistently spending? Is not the high ends. The high ends, they do spend a lot, of course, but the ones that's always going to be consistently spendings are always going to be your locals, the working class, the middle class. So if you have a business that has a pop and mom shop, especially in let's say
Mom and pop shop.
mom and pop shop, especially like in 80 years from now or 100 years from now, I strongly believe that particular business, whoever is to have a business like that in a world filled with technology and so advanced, it would be the business, because people are going to be like, oh shit, these people used to cook this and cook that. They don't use a robot for that. That's weird. Let me go check it out. It will always be something that's going to be an interest for people to check out, and that particular group is going to make it big for those businesses. My focus, if I was to be during that time and create my business, it would be me focusing on the locals, me living and dying by that craft. Me working there, committed, and showing the people like what I'm doing with that craft. So my focus would be the locals. My focus would be the locals in the community of the working class. If I was to sustain my business in the future,
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you?
Wrap it up. So,
How are you?
what?
How do you feel about what we spoke about? Where do you
I
stand?
need a new generation to talk about.
The new generation to talk about?
Yeah. Come on, Abby.
No, yeah, it's definitely different.
Yeah.
Generation,
So we are in a group that we think history is very important, right?
Yeah.
I take history a lot, like really, really important for me, for everything. Same thing with Jerobis. Jerobis does the same thing, but I feel that history is gonna be
Die out.
done soon.
Yeah, I feel the
It's
same.
gonna be
way.
there. Then technology is gonna
course.
remind you, Google everything, but you don't go to see books anymore. Like there is only a few people
Yeah.
that go to see books. Back in the
Mhm.
day when I was in school, everything was in books. Now everything's in computers, and 10 years from now, it's gonna be different. So what he means is that the technology for labor is gonna take over for a lot of things, and especially in business, right?
Yeah.
You still wanna see those like you wanna still see the history by eating, by drinking, but like the new generations, they don't give a fuck. They just don't, they're not gonna do anything for it.
That's true.
So
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I understand. So yeah, that's we all have our opinions on it. Like I said, I love technology, so it's when it comes down to that, I kind of stand by it. Certain things, not everything that's going on is, but I understand that in the human interaction would never be took over by a robot. That's completely different. It's genuine. So we all have our disagreements and our agreements and our opinions. This is wrapping up our episode. This is Amigos and Aromas and Amigos. It was a heated.
talking
All
about
right,
history,
guys.
and
Oh well, that was a good episode.
fuck.
Yeah. See you guys.
Peace out, guys.